If you're new to K-pop, maybe you haven't heard this story about the origin of the word stan, commonly used in K-pop. So, make sure to grab a drink and follow me on this story. Stan wasn't designed to mean what it is. It's originally an Eminem song, and we'll talk about it. But the definition that we used in our times for stan is someone that follows a group closely, someone that listens to the music, to the albums, that watch the members, watch the performances, maybe even attend concerts, but never reaches the obsession level. So, in practice, stan sits somewhere in between fan and ult, or identity. And this big gap of ambiguity is what matters, because stan can be close to fan, but at the same part can be close to reaching an obsession level. And that definition had a major shift from what it usually meant. Stan was not supposed to be a fan more than a simple fan. Stan was not designed to that. And that's where Eminem's song comes in. Early 2000s, Eminem released a song called Stan. The character of that MV is Stanley. This song, the whole representation, the whole MV is cinema. The whole MV, you just have to see. I recommend you to see the MV. If you want to understand better what I'm talking about, so watch the MV. But the whole point of the song and of the MV was to represent the radical fan, the obsessive compulsive fan, the extreme radical fan, whose individuality has been completely lost and replaced by the person they idolize. You see? Idolize? Idol. On the MV, we see the character called Stanley. What do we see? He dresses like Eminem, he dyed his hair like Eminem, he looks similar to Eminem. We had some cases in K-pop. Do you all remember Ollie London? The guy that made a ton of surgeries to look like BTS Jimin? Well, it's the exact same model, the exact same thing, but in different eras. And Stanley is not a super fan. Stanley is the representation of something dangerous, the character whose entire identity revolves around their idol, around the artist they idolize, and whose obsession turns into isolation, paranoia, and self-destruction. So you understand this better. Stalker plus fan equals stan. That was the origin of the meaning. In today's K-pop language, what the word stan is now transferred into the word sasang. We all know what is a sign. From time to time, we get those cases that they were in the same flight that I idol, they leaked phone numbers, they were in the same hotel, they found the hotel room. We all heard about those fans, about those sasangs. Well, the sasang is the stan original meaning, but transformed now into K-pop as we made more casual the word stan, and the sasang is still this obsessive, compulsive, paranoid fan. On Eminem's MV, the story ends tragically. I suggest you to see it. Not because the artist, the idol was cruel, but because the obsession of the stan replaced his identity. So, stan was supposed to mean the fan that lost its perspective, that went insane, that went crazy. But how did that word turn into something more casual that we use? We use it as a verb. I stand X groups. I stand, I don't know, Baby Monster. We stand Twice. They stand BTS. From a noun, it changed into a verb. When was this shift? Is the next question. And let me answer it to you. I don't know at all. I know that sounds anticlimactic, but hear me out. Stan, the song, was released on early 2000. I did my research. I did all the research I could, and the first use of the word stan in fandom culture, more casually, was around 2008, 2009, in Western culture. It began being used with artists like Beyonce, One Direction, Lady Gaga. And what happened here? In this old social media, all Twitter and Tumblr, people used that word. It became kind of a fandom slang on the internet, on social media era. And it began in 2008, so this comes from a long way. And from then on, K-pop adapted pretty quickly. Well, Western K-pop culture adapted. Around 2010, 2011, the word stan was already being used by the K-pop community. But it was no longer similar to the original meaning of Eminem. It was something that represented passion and belonging. It became a more casual word based on the fandom slang. And it just spread anywhere. It is part of a fandom culture, but as I said, K-pop culture adapted it more. It's easier and it even gets to be more comfortable and more understandable to say I stan this group rather than I am a fan of X. Stan means that you go further with that group, that you cross the first boundary of the casual listener and go further. You know the members, you can identify them. You listen to their songs, their albums, you know which song is from which album. Stan became that. The word stan changed its meaning 10 years later and spread everywhere. And recently I am making more videos towards the fandom. The fandom is something very interesting in K-pop. It's a big phenomenon that needs to be studied and I am the one who is studying it. Because I find it very interesting. All these words, all this tribalism that happens in K-pop. How do the industry manages to make one person an idol? Someone the fan idolizes. How do we get emotionally invested with that person? And how sometimes people that lost their own individuality, all their lives revolve around the idol. How do we reach this? And this is something not new. This is something that has happened through all K-pop history. The word stan is just a little example. How we understand this slang based on a word we regularly use. We commonly use stan. I stan my group. I stan idol. I stan NMIX. That word was not supposed to mean that. It evolved and we understand now the stan as a sign. But there are a ton of problems with the fandoms. There are a ton of phenomena with the fandoms that I am going to investigate. If you want to learn more how K-pop works, make sure to subscribe and I'll see you on the next video.